Well, today's story is a bit of a funny one because it came to light that the PlayStation Network is sort of slowly breaking.
To no one's surprise.
Yes, in a way. And this is the sort of thing when you have a tech issue that just nobody looks at, seemingly, for a long, long time.
Yep.
Now we're at the stage where people just can't play their games.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Welcome to digital. Sorry, there's a license issue. You can't access your digital library or a lot of your old games that you paid for over the past 10 years.
Yeah,
Whoops.
so here for Mr. Christopher, there's a bit of a problem. Here's their copy of Chrono Cross. All right. Created 2014. Their license starts 2014, when this was created. Now, the bad news for them is that their game license actually expired in 1969.
Yeah.
So they can't play the game because it's not 1969.
Yeah, I mean, like, Chrono Cross is definitely old, but I don't think the PS1 era was in the 60s. I don't think so anyway.
No, not quite. So, yes, it's a bit weird. And then, of course, you could go conspiratorial, saying that Chrono Cross has been re-released, and then at the same time, the original PS1 classic just stops working for people.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, and people are like, is this the most backhanded shit we've ever seen from Sony or Square Enix? And people are like, the pitchforks are coming out, they're ready to go, and then someone's like, wait, this has happened to my entire library, so it's not just that. And I was like, good news, I think? I don't know.
Fantastic. So, people have just been reporting that loads of their Vita, PS3, and PS1 games are not working because the expiry date for their license is set to the end of December 1969. Mm-hmm. And this is just seemingly slowly happening to people. Here's a great one. All my digital titles are expired. That was great for one user. I was able to get some titles downloaded last night, but nearly all continue to give error that says the content is expired, even though the games were just downloaded. So I went ahead and resubbed PS Plus to see if that would fix the issue. Unfortunately, it didn't.
Yeah,
oh dear.
It can't even just give Sony money to make the problem go away. Oh man.
Yeah, it's quite strange. So the PlayStation support told another person that they had to reach out to the game maker.
Yep.
To solve this licensing issue. As if it's anything to do with them.
Yeah, that's exactly it, where support are just like, we don't really know, we don't have a solution to this. Let's, pass the buck on to someone else and call it a day.
Yeah, and I guess to be realistic about support,
yeah,
they're going to have their manuals and their standard operating procedures.
Yeah. Nothing
is going to cover, this technical problem has meant a whole bunch of games are set to 1969.
Yeah, I think
they're not going to be technical.
Yeah, I think there's a big case of support not being able to escalate, because obviously escalating support means you haven't done your job right, as opposed to just, this literally needs escalated, there's no other way to deal with that. So it just is that people are bouncing off support left, right, and center, like, can you fix this problem? We're like, no. Can you get me someone who can? No. Sorry. Have a good day. Reset your internet connection.
Yeah, so here's an example of this guy just reporting his experience, which, basically overall not great. So far, support chat had me deregister all my Sony devices, then re-register to download. Then I had to factory reset, erasing everything, and re-register before downloading. Both of which changed nothing. Still 1969. So according to the chat, they're basically looking into things. He's just turning around saying, well, I know what the issue is. I'm being issued a license file with a backdated expiration date. This is clearly the problem. He goes through a second round with PlayStation chat. Again, a whole bunch of bullshit. Mm-hmm. Stuff that would never fix this issue. Not good. Yeah. So, support just clearly have absolutely no idea what's going on. And we just have this situation where people with legacy game licenses are just all... They're effectively disappearing.
Yeah, and it's the thing where the complete lack of escalation line in support is what's really killing the problem here. Okay, I bet there's people in Sony who are seeing this pop up in the news and looking at it and going, "Oh, can we figure out what's happening here? Oh shit, yeah, what's going on? Oh, I think I know what that is. Let me look at it." But then they're like, "Well, I also have my job to do at Sony, so I can't just take time out of my day to fix that problem." But also, support has no line of escalation. I guess it doesn't get fixed then. That's kind of what the vibe I think is.
Yeah. Now the funny thing with games, of course, is you just get a license to play a game.
Yeah.
You don't own that game. That's the way that it works, unfortunately. Now, that just means that you have a license to play it. If that license is gone, then it doesn't matter that you have the game.
Yep.
Right? So as for what's happening, it's quite a funny little situation. There's, here's a good example. There's two theories going around. A lot of it just comes down to servers checking shit and Unix time. So, per Kirby here, it is, essentially to solve being able to give you a license that lasts for a super long time instead of a license with an expiry date. Because all the licenses technically do have an expiry date, which is something that you could maybe think is for like demos and time limited things. So to get around this for games you're just supposed to, own forever functionally, it sets the expiration date to 1 day before the Unix epoch. And then it does a quick check to see if the difference between the expiry date and the current date is greater than the difference between the expiry date and the PS3 launch date. But then, problem is, PS3 is a 32-bit system, which then means that it is going to overflow eventually. So that's one theory that is out there, and that would mean that somewhere between 2022 and 2038, you'd start to have those issues crop up.
It depends on exactly how the specific date is encoded. There's like one way where it could overflow in 2022, and that appears to be, that's one of the possible issues, is that if it was done that way in the PS3, then it would be overflowing now, based on the encoding. There's the same issue could crop up in 2038 for other applications.
Yeah, and then as for the other, one that's being posited here is basically that it's not the Unix epoch overflow thing, because that would be further out into the future. Instead, obviously, there's a system somewhere that gets queried whether a downloaded game has expired or not, and that is timing out or returning an error. So as a result, the timestamp being looked up is 0. 0 is midnight, 1st of the 1st, 1970.
Which, obviously, accounting for time zones going back into the Americas, is the 31st of December, 1969.
Yeah.
And that would make a lot of sense, considering this is like a sporadic thing for people, considering it's just it's not happening to everyone, which means it might be like one server somewhere in the whatever. I don't even want to know what their like servers holding up the old shops look like anymore, but I'm sure one of them's just fallen over and it's returning this error, and they haven't bothered to fix it really, or haven't even known it's a problem because maybe their internal systems that flag that stuff aren't working.
Yeah, so basically we've just had a mini Y2K.
Almost literally a mini Y2K, but Y2K22, I guess.
Yeah, that almost sounds like a Take-Two game.
Yeah.
So basically, like, that's the prevailing theory.
Yeah.
There are just, there are some other theories that maybe it's Sony making changes to their store, which we do know they've been doing, and we also know that their stores, as you put here, coded a bit like Blighttown.
Yeah, it's very obvious that like the way that system was built up was just, we need something now, quick, please get it done, and they haven't been able to go back and solve any of those problems.
Yeah, so it's a funky little situation. More than like, it sucks that this is not great for the people who are being involved, right? And customer support can't help them.
Yeah,
it's also a sort of funny and interesting technical thing of just one server goes down, or one little thing happens and then all this shit cascades and we have a funky situation like this. Now, as for whether Sony have commented on this, the answer to that is no. Kotaku and The Verge The Verge and Kotaku have reached out. They've heard nothing back. Ultimately, this is something that sucks for the users. A PR response would probably be ideal here, but it's maybe the sort of thing where if they do a more official PR response, like anything a bit bigger, they'll just put a magnifying glass on it. Maybe they don't want that. Maybe they just want to quietly fix it and then just issue a quick little note to the journalists who have reached out to them. That's like, if you were a Sony, that's what you would do.
Yeah,
just try to minimize it.
Yeah.
So basically, that's it. Technical stuff falls over sometimes. It's a little bit funny, and that's it for the video.
Yeah, just don't make sure you can play your games when things go a bit wrong.
Yeah,
I think that's the prevailing advice, and we've seen it so many times this year. Just go and make sure you can play games that you own. And
a funny little thing to contrast with the GOG video.
Damn straight, yeah.
They said, hey, we are going to ensure you can play your games. Even Valve. Yep. Valve are saying they have a kill switch so that if things go down, they can just turn off the all the checking stuff, so you can just play whatever you've got. Yep.
That's the thing that they did with the PS4, where that was like the CMOS issue, was your PS4 will stop being able to play offline games at some point in time, and then they issued a fix for that. Or like, that's the kind of thing where that doesn't apply to digital, basically. In all these cases, you're like, goddamn. Can't play games.
Yeah. So maybe code things a little bit more future looking. If it is that, or maybe just, hey, a server fell down and nobody friggin' noticed. Right? If a server dies in the woods, a few Redditors will notice. So it did die, but I mean, it's not really going to catch on much, is it?
Yep.
Right? That's basically the story. So we'll see you next time.